It not only turns its hero into a magical...
The soul of Captain America actually kind of is in Anthony Mackie.
Thank you, I shower twice a day.
Captain represents a lot of things, but America isn't one of them, is getting absolutely destroyed by the critics, getting 52% overall, but 38% of the top critics. A lot of the people that like this movie are simply the ones that Rotten Tomatoes crammed in there under the critic tab. I think that probably explains the audience score as well, which is 82% verified, 73% without, because Rotten Tomatoes has messed so much with the audience score, I don't even know what that means anymore. As well as early showings likely going to the biggest fans of the franchise. But it's the critics which are interesting because before they've been hesitant to criticize Disney on a lot of movies. They certainly don't like dropping that kind of number. A review score that puts it below Secret Invasion, a show dedicated to humiliating Fury as a character.
You did this! All the bombs and the blackouts and the massacre.
You're right.
I mean, yes, I am causing the apocalypse, but it's your fault because you broke a promise to a 9-year-old.
They were condemned to die the day I realized you weren't a man of your word. You really should have kept your promise.
Did you take a stupid pill with your breakfast this morning, Admiral?
Hashtag never forget. It's only slightly higher than the Eternals, and when it comes to comparisons to other Captain America movies, well, kind of think that one speaks for itself. 80, 90, 90, 52. Oops.
That is all you!
And this will likely lead to a problem at the box office. They were aiming for 90 million US opening, 200 million globally. But with these kind of scores, that might be the only good weekend it has. The moment the cat's out of the bag about this dumpster fire, that number is going to drop. Which is a problem because despite them saying $200 million is the budget, I think that's about as true as saying the New York subway is fun for all the family.
It was like jumping into the middle of a batch of chicken soup.
Now the critics have decided on their narrative. It's that Anthony Mackie is absolutely amazing. Just the rest of the film. He deserve better. Strong performances from Anthony Mackie, Harrison Ford and Carl Lumley, but you're just recycling a story that lets him down. And discussing film, it needed a better script because it's a half-baked effort. The golden days of Marvel Studios are long gone. Something needs to change. Glad they finally realized. They've been getting kicked in the face for years. I've only just thought, hang on, maybe my headache is related. Please, sir, could you stop kicking me in the face?
Sure, if you put the hokum of the Marvel movies and the superpowers and the super suit, he's not Captain America. I'm not an idiot.
And even the positive reviews do it with a sort of half-heartedness. They're trying to be complimentary, but actually can't manage it. It's kind of like, I want to shill, but I've still got a shred of self-respect that tells me I shouldn't do. So you get titles like the Variety Review. Anthony Mackie takes up the shield in a franchise that's a time filler. Yes, you will sit in a cinema, and time will inevitably march on. The greatest compliment we could give this movie is it exists for a period of time. They don't lie to you. They don't send you into the cinema and just make you stare at a blank screen. Tell you the movie's actually playing, you're just too thick to see it. I mean, we were going that way at one point. If you think light should be projected in a cinema, then you're a racist because you don't like a black screen. But no, this movie doesn't just actually exist. It's also just fun enough. It scrapes in there. Like, it's not fun, but it's just fun enough. When you're watching it, you won't be contemplating which rafter would support your weight if you tied your belt around it. No, it's just fun enough to stave off those kind of depressive thoughts. And apparently it escapes the superhero fatigue. He's not a superhero, is he? Give him the pissing serum, you useless tart.
He's not Captain America. I'm not an idiot.
And this was one of my favorite reviews because I don't actually understand it. This movie isn't just mid-muddled action. No, it's profoundly mid. Sure, you can be average, but this is like extremely average. Is being extremely average better or worse than average? It's a 5, but this is really a 5. I don't even know what it means. But if you want some positives, we've got the Twitter reviews. This is a clear, powerful message. Heartfelt. Got Anthony Mackie in it. I mean, there is a wobbly third act. You know, a third of the film is ass. But Anthony Mackie does some acting in it. So, you know, poggers, boys. Or Marvel actually cooked. Gave everyone food poisoning according to the critics. But they were cooking something. Probably 3-week-old shrimp. I mean, the first 10 minutes are rough. But I think that's just the reshoots. I'm sorry. Maybe this is just me, but I thought reshoots were meant to be making something better. If you have a movie, then you reshoot it and make it worse, you're an idiot. You didn't even have to add those scenes in.
He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died.
Captain America is flat out good. I mean, the villain feels a bit secondary. I don't know what I expected. This is a heroic tale. The villain's not really necessary though, is he? No, he kind of just defeats himself, I guess. He's basically so ass. He's his own worst nightmare. The villain doesn't even need to be there. He's just such a pathetic captain of anything else but not America. He's essentially the Mr. Bean of captains.
For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America should be one of those representations.
It might mean that Captain Abstract Concepts feels more like a sequel to The Incredible Hulk, which is weird, considering a Hulk is barely in the movie. Sometimes you read a review and you're like, I'm not sure you've watched this, because as I film, I've not watched this. And yet I still seem to know more about this movie than he does. Unless he's saying this is a sequel to the Incredible Hulk movie, but only for 5 minutes, as that is how long Red Hulk is in the pissing movie. 5 minutes. He's in every trailer because they know that's the only thing that's gonna get people through the door, as no one really cares about Captain Emotional Incontinence. But they do want to see a Hulk punch him in the face. Who knows, maybe on that small $200 million budget, they could only afford 5 minutes. Or maybe it was just reshoots. And if you prefer a second source to back up the 5-minute take, well...
The Red Hulk. He's in it for less than 5 minutes.
Whoops. Terrible pacing, exposition dumps the whole movie, lackluster action, CGI, and characters spawning into locations. Villain motivations make no sense and are bare bones. Captain Armadillo literally means nothing in the grand scheme of it. What a waste of time. Well, to be fair, it may be a waste of time, but Variety thought that was one of the positives. If you were a Variety journalist, you'd probably pray for something to take up the inevitable drudgery and despair that is your life, in the hope that you can forget about your miserable existence again until you can go unconscious for another 8 hours. It's better than The Belt, I tell you. How long will the MCU piggies keep coming back when the slop keeps getting thinner? Feels like the season finale of a Disney Plus series, until a rushed CGI final act. Guessing that's the Hulk. It's lacking steam heat, humor. At this point, I'll take it. That's a good thing. Disney can't do comedy, unless it's Willow. And the surreal energy of superhero movies past. A narrative as convoluted as it is boring. Visuals as unappealing as they are uninspired. And a Marvel movie that is as frustrating as it is forgettable. Oh, Collider, tell me how you really feel. Rudimentary set pieces by the numbers. Its characters are dull and the dialogue is even duller. Weak writing, repeatedly bad one-liner after one-liner, making it an uncharacteristically unfunny MCU adventure from start to... Oh, so it's not that it doesn't have humor, it's just that it's all trash, like the rest of the Marvel movies.
Gotta fly.
No.
Black girl magic.
This actually worries me, because if Collider liked the previous humor, and they think this is bad, I'm gonna need a reinforced belt. Stiff expository dialogue. If anything, the film has more in common with Sony's disastrous attempts to make its own Marvel movies. Had this been a random C-list Marvel hero, that would have been forgivable. It is. Nobody gives a flying kangaroo about Falcon. That's why they had to switch his title to Captain Asparagus. But for a character as revered as Captain Artichoke, it's a huge disappointment. I don't know, it's kind of what I was expecting, to be honest. Captain Air Conditioner lacks the entertainment of an MCU movie. You seen any of the recent ones? They don't have any entertainment as it is. And this lacks that. Desperately tries to make you care about the film with member berries. Latest entry in a universe that's run out of steam. Why is a Captain Antimatter movie so obsessed with a Hulk film that nobody liked 15 years ago? While the childish idiocies never reach Madam Web or Craven the Hunter levels of mind-numbing incoherence, this is DOA for ideas. Bottom-tier movie with a snooze-worthy plot and low emotional stakes. Superhero meatloaf and potatoes. It's meant to be a compliment. Hey, I mean, Grace Randolph loved it. That's a red flag.
I'm not about to let a man take credit for a woman's work.
Not a movie anybody would aspire to make. Maybe they could teach this in universities as an example of what not to do. People always say that as technology marches onwards, it opens up movie making to more people because the barrier of entry lowers. And then you realize that the barrier to entry in Hollywood was already low enough. I mean, seriously, if people this incompetent can get through into Hollywood, are we really sure we want to lower the barrier anymore? Captain Asbestos feels like a movie that was thrown together out of random pieces of better movies. It was. They basically film multiple movies with tons of reshoots and then, it seems, just assembled pieces together from it. That is exactly what happened. Too many scenes feel chopped together for it to actually work. They weren't even in the same script. The MCU has eaten itself into a bloated, constipated stupor. 1 out of 5. Feels like a film that's made when you can't think of anything, but your deadline is looming regardless. That'll do. I get paid the same either way. It not only turns its hero into a magical... Hey, there was a film about that. In an effort to soothe white America's anger and hurt, it also asks its hero to grin and figuratively tap dance off screen. Okay, I need to see that review. Brave New World is the relic of a post-racial dream, built with respectability tools, but have not only been ineffectual, but self-destructive. Stearns isn't much of a villain. You could pretty much replace him with a fern, and it wouldn't drastically change much. The final half hour is equally tedious, zeroing on personal pains and latent rage within Ross. When he transforms into Red Hulk, his fiery, all-out rampage is chock full of symbolism, representing a burning country, a fractured White House, and people in charge anguished by its role as world police. The metaphors here aren't loud, they're screaming, making Brave New World less a chance at escapist entertainment and more one preoccupied with its own sense of self-importance. As an MCU pissing movie, it's very hard to make something too serious when you're in tights. An inept conclusion. I'm not sure I've hated the ending of a movie more in recent memory. I won't spoil it, but let's say this film imagines it's living in a different country, nay, world, than the reality many have experienced. It argues for unearned forgiveness while making rushed last-second nods to the weight of capital B Black excellence, the fight to gain a seat at the table, and the importance of representation.
That's gaslighting. That's what it is. Like this, we're the victims. Feel bad for us. That's what that is. So it's not acceptable behavior. It is embarrassing.
True, Captain America probably should have represented the majority of America. It's weird that he doesn't. Even as Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly anthem, which no one will be able to understand the words to from what I've heard about him, is meant to elicit joy, but you can't help but feel icky. Is this our capital B lack Captain Africa? This, our piece of the pie? It's the most feckless, spineless blockbuster of the last decade. A film in need of burning down the old world before daring to look for a new one. That guy doesn't want a movie, he wants a revolution. Always be careful of burning down your nation when you couldn't build one. But why don't I get more free stuff? The movie. You could have the lowest expectations and still be miserable and disappointed. Barely assembles enough of a facade to be convincing. Makes wishy-washy attempts to speak to our current societal moment with a certain naivety that doesn't suit the precariousness of our reality. Oh god, everyone's a critic. No, you don't understand our social decay. Oh, piss off. It's about a guy flying around with metal wings, love. Not that serious. Obscene that so much money has been spent on Captain Alderaan, yet has so little innovation, wit, or visual style. No blockbuster that costs this much should look this shoddy. Marred by regular, almost casual ineptitude, it settles for a sloppy spectacle. Disney has gummed up the works of the biggest movie franchise ever. They're going to keep making these things, and they're only going to get thinner, clumsier, and less cinematic. About as emotional as a wet tea bag. I'm English, that actually sounds like quite the compliment. This movie's as good as tea. It's gonna be a banger. The thoughtful treatment of capital B lackness is an element worth something, but it doesn't outweigh the sense that the film is meant to pacify any potentially galvanizing political feelings in American audiences. In other words, yes, some parts of it are racist, but not enough to stop trying to unify America. If only it was more offensive, I might like it more. Mind you, he is called Screen Anarchy, so a Temu knockoff of Winter Soldier. Another tedious slog in the Marvel superhero sausage factory. If you remember how fascinating the trade negotiations were in The Phantom Menace, you'll have some idea how dreary the central plot point is of this MCU entry. Incoherent, inert, and just plain insulting as a sequel. The MCU brain trust led by Uber producer Kevin Feige has flatlined. It really is no surprise at this point, especially after reading those reviews, why Anthony Mackie called it the best movie it can be. Not a good movie, not a great movie, not the best no, just the best it can. It's like, yes, look, after that amount of reshoots, after all this time working, after all the trouble we had, this is as good as it's gonna get. We could film another movie and reshoots, it's not gonna get better than this. This is just, it's the best we can do. And it probably is. Disney and Hollywood have spent so much time filling their ranks with incompetent people that tick all the right boxes. This is the best they can do. And they have pumped out so much of the best they can do that now even the critics can't stand it. The ones that do it for a living, even less. When even the critics are coming out and crying for Disney to change something. Please do something else. Try something else. How long before Disney learn the message that yes, you've tried all this crap and you need to get rid of every single person with every value that you've been putting in your recent Hollywood stuff? Because you've gone so far down that line, even the people that support those values can't stand them themselves. Who would have thought that the ideology full of people that hate themselves also hate what they produce? Maybe it's time Disney got back to the people that, know how to make movies, no matter how much they may hate them. Because one thing's for sure, you can't afford to keep this up. Everyone's always saying, oh, well, now Disney's fate rests on the next film, and it's always the next film. They've only got one more chance to turn it around. But there will come a point where they do have their last chance, and they won't see it coming. So maybe we should stop trying to push that as far as we can, and fix it sooner than later. But those are just my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know down in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe for more videos like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.